For thousands of years, wise sages whispered a truth, and today, modern science is finally catching up. What if I told you that one discovery connects them both, and it could completely rewrite the way you live your life? For centuries, there has been this quiet assumption that the old world of spiritual wisdom and the new world of science exist in separate universes. One belongs in temples, scriptures, and sacred texts. The other belongs in laboratories, equations, and data. One speaks in metaphors, the other in measurements. And yet, if you look close enough, if you're willing to strip away the labels and just examine the truth at its core, you start to see something extraordinary. These two worlds are not enemies. They are not opposites. In fact, they are converging on the very same truths. Think about it. Thousands of years ago, ancient teachers in Greece, India, China, Egypt, all spoke about unseen forces shaping reality. They didn't have microscopes. Didn't have particle accelerators. They didn't have brain scans. Yet, they described life as interconnected energy, as vibrations, as an invisible field that holds everything together. Fast forward to today, and what do we hear from modern physicists? That beneath the solid walls around you, beneath the chair you sit on, beneath your very skin, is not solid matter, but vibrating energy. Atoms, quarks, strings, tiny movements happening in a vast, invisible field. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that echo the language of ancient wisdom? The ancients said, "What you think, you become." Today, neuroscience says, "Your thoughts rewire your brain." The ancients said, "Life flows in cycles. What you give, returns." Today, psychology and biology say, "Your actions, habits, and even emotions shape the outcomes you attract." Different languages, different eras. Same truth. And here's why this matters to you. Because most people in our modern world are living like these truths don't exist. They are living as if everything is random, disconnected, and meaningless. They are living only on the surface, without realizing the depth of connection between their thoughts, their energy, and the life they are experiencing. But when you recognize that ancient truth and modern science are pointing to the same reality, something powerful happens. You stop choosing sides. You stop asking, "Do I believe in faith or do I believe in facts?" They realize it's not either or, it's both. And when you allow both into your perspective, your life begins to open in ways you never thought possible. Imagine this. A person walks into a room and feels instantly heavy. The air isn't physically polluted, but there's tension. There's anger. There's stress. You can feel it. That's not mystical imagination. That's energy. Ancient teachers called it spirit. Science calls it measurable electromagnetic frequencies. Same reality, two different ways of naming it. Or consider prayer and meditation. For centuries, humans used these practices to find peace, clarity, and healing. Skeptics dismissed it as superstition. And yet today, study after study confirms meditation changes brainwaves, lowers stress hormones, strengthens immunity, and even slows aging. What was once dismissed as ritual is now documented as science. You see, the moment you stop separating ancient wisdom and modern science, you unlock a deeper truth about yourself. You begin to understand that your body is not just flesh and bone. Your mind is not just neurons firing. And your soul is not just poetry. You are all of it. An integration of energy, thought, matter, and spirit. And that integration means this. The power you've been seeking outside of you has always been within you. The ancients told you this. Science is now proving this. And if you can accept it, if you can lean into it, you can begin to create a life that is not only successful on the outside, but deeply fulfilled on the inside. This is why we start here with the meeting point. Because unless you see how the old and the new are converging, you might miss the opportunity staring you right in the face. The opportunity to live with the confidence that your thoughts matter. Your energy matters, and your choices shape the reality you step into. So today, as we take this journey, I invite you to set aside the walls. Set aside the belief that you have to choose between science and spirit. Instead, embrace the possibility that both were always pointing to the same extraordinary truth. A truth that can change not just how you think, but how you live. For thousands of years, human beings have searched for meaning, direction, and understanding of their place in this vast universe. What's fascinating is that when we look back at the ancient texts, philosophies, and spiritual traditions that emerged long before modern technology, we find patterns, recurring truths that continue to resurface in different forms, across different cultures, and in different ages. It doesn't matter whether you're studying the wisdom of the East, the teachings of indigenous tribes, or the philosophies of early Western thinkers, there's always a thread of similarity weaving through them all. It's as if humanity has always known, deep down, the laws that govern our existence. Even before science could measure them, think about it, thousands of years ago. The ancient Egyptians spoke of Mat, the principle of cosmic balance and harmony, insisting that life flourished when people aligned themselves with universal order. The Indian Upanishads, written over 2,500 years ago, taught that the outer world is merely a reflection of the inner world, that everything you experience begins first as a thought or an intention. The Taoist philosophy in China emphasized the flow of energy, the qi, as the life force that connects all things. And Native American traditions spoke of the Great Spirit, the interconnectedness of all creation, and the importance of walking in harmony with it. Though the languages were different, the core message was the same. We are not separate from the universe. We are an expression of it now. Here's where the connection becomes extraordinary. In the last century, modern science says, especially quantum physics, has been peeling back the layers of reality, only to discover principles that echo what these ancient traditions always taught. Scientists now know that everything is energy at its core, vibrating at different frequencies. They've discovered that observation can influence outcomes, a principle that sounds strikingly similar to the idea that thoughts shape reality. They've uncovered that all matter is interconnected through quantum entanglement, mirroring the ancient belief that what you do to one strand of the web, you do to the whole. This isn't just coincidence, it's convergence. It's proof that truth doesn't expire. Truth isn't bound by culture or time period. When something is deeply, universally true, it will show up everywhere in chance, in scripture, in ritual, and eventually in laboratories. And when both the mystic and the scientist point to the same reality from different angles, you know you've stumbled upon something profound. But let's take this deeper. Why does this matter to you, sitting here today? Because it means the answers you're looking for about success, peace, and fulfillment are not new. They've been whispered for centuries, waiting for you to hear them again in this modern context. They're not hidden, they're eternal. You already carry within you the wisdom that your ancestors tapped into, the same wisdom that scientists are now validating. You are not wandering blindly in this life. You're standing on a foundation that has been laid for millennia. When you realize this, it shifts something inside of you. Suddenly, the practices of mindfulness, meditation, visualization, or even prayer don't feel outdated. They feel timeless. They aren't random trends. They are bridges between you and the energy of the universe. You start to see your daily choices differently. Every word you speak, every thought you nurture, every action you take isn't just a personal decision. It's a vibration you're sending into the field of life. And that field, as both the ancients and the scientists agree, responds so. Let's pause here and let this truth sink in. The wisdom that can transform your life is not new, and it's not out of reach. It has been with us all along. The question isn't whether this wisdom exists. The question is, are You ready to listen, to align, and to live it out in your own journey? What happens when the words of sages spoken thousands of years ago begin to sound eerily similar to the discoveries of our most advanced scientists? It's more than coincidence, it's a bridge. A bridge between wisdom passed down through sacred texts and formulas derived in laboratories. For so long, humanity separated the mystical from the scientific. One belonged to the temple, the other to the lab. But today, those lines are blurring. Think of this: ancient spiritual traditions taught that everything is energy. They spoke of vibrations, of frequencies, of unseen forces shaping our reality. At the time, people may have dismissed these ideas as metaphor or poetry. And yet, modern physics, particularly quantum mechanics, now confirms that everything, every object, every thought, every possibility is made of energy, vibrating at different levels. The invisible forces mystics once described are now measurable in experiments. The mystics said the mind shapes reality. They taught that our thoughts, prayers, and intentions ripple outward, influencing what we attract into our lives. Scientists today, through studies of quantum entanglement and the observer effect, reveal that observation alone changes the outcome of experiments. When you look at something, when you focus on it, too, are no longer a passive participant. You are a co-creator. Isn't that astonishing? The very act of attention collapses potential into reality. In essence, science is rediscovering what ancient wisdom whispered all along, that the power within you is not a metaphor, it's a law. Take meditation, for example. Thousands of years ago, monks practiced it to quiet the mind and connect with the divine. They described states of awareness where separation dissolved and oneness was experienced. For centuries, this was treated as mysticism, something intangible. But now, neuroscience steps in with brain scans, showing how meditation rewires neural pathways, lowers stress, improves health, and even enhances creativity. What was once spiritual practice has now become medical advice. Again, ancient truth meets modern science hand in hand. Think also of ancient healing systems, Ayurveda in India, traditional Chinese medicine, native practices. They taught that the body is not just flesh and bone, but an energetic system. Blockages in this energy flow, they believed, caused illness. Today, medical science begins to study biofields, energy meridians, and the electromagnetic signatures of the human body. Scientists are investigating how energy influences health in ways we're only starting to grasp. That overlap is no longer fantasy, it's frontier science, and perhaps the most profound overlap lies in the concept of unity. Mystics from all traditions declared that separation is an illusion, that beneath all appearances, everything is connected. They spoke of the web of life, the oneness of being. And here comes modern physics again, with quantum entanglement showing that particles separated by vast distances behave as though connected instantaneously. No wires, no signals, no explanation, just connection. The same truth revealed through prayer beads and particle accelerators. What this overlap means for you is life-changing. You no longer have to choose between faith and reason, between believing in unseen forces and trusting the measurable. They are no longer opposites. They are partners. What was once dismissed as just spiritual now carries the weight of scientific evidence. And what was once sterile, mathematical theory now comes alive with meaning when connected to timeless wisdom. The implication is clear. The potential you carry within is not wishful thinking. It is not empty optimism. It is the convergence of truth that has survived thousands of years and discoveries that shape the modern world. When mystics said you are powerful, and scientists now confirm it in equations and experiments, you can no longer ignore it. You are not a bystander. You are the architect of your existence. This overlap is not about the past versus the present. It is about synergy. It is the reminder that wisdom never dies. It only waits for us to rediscover it. And right now, you are living in the era where these truths are converging like never before. That convergence is your opportunity to step into alignment, to take what both worlds are offering, and to shape your life in ways previous generations only dreamed of. Now, let us pause and think about what happens when we allow ourselves to become fully aware of this alignment between what the ancients believed and what science now validates. The ancient world taught us that thoughts carry energy, and modern physics has shown us that energy cannot be destroyed, only transforms. That means every thought you release, whether positive or negative, becomes a seed planted in the soil of the universe. And here's the truth. The soil doesn't discriminate. It grows whatever you plant. If you constantly water it with fear, doubt, and negativity, you cannot be surprised when anxiety and struggle grow in your life. But when you water it with faith, clarity, and intentional focus, you will see growth that mirrors your dreams. This is why so many people feel stuck. They are unknowingly watering the wrong seeds. They wake up each day rehearsing past mistakes, replaying painful conversations, or preparing themselves for more struggle. Without realizing it, they are creating the very conditions they wish to escape. But when you shift your focus, when you deliberately take control of your thoughts, you begin to bend reality toward the life you desire. It's not magic, it's alignment. The ancients knew it, and science proves it. Think about electricity. It has always existed, long before humans discovered it. For thousands of years, people lived in the dark, while lightning danced across the sky. The energy was always there, but without understanding how to harness it, they couldn't benefit from it. The same is true with manifestation. The energy of thought and intention has always been here. The ancients learned to tap into it through rituals, meditation, prayer, and visualization. Today, science gives us new language: quantum fields, neural pathways, vibration, but the essence is the same. You hold the power to direct this invisible current into a life of purpose and abundance. So the question is no longer whether this power is real. The question is, will you use it? Will you wake up tomorrow and align your thoughts with the reality you want? Or will you keep recycling the same patterns that hold you back? The choice is always yours. Think for a moment about how much of your life is shaped not by what happens, but by how you see what happens. Two people can go through the same event and walk away with two entirely different stories. One person sees disaster, while another sees opportunity. One sees proof of defeat, while another sees the seed of victory. The event is the same, but the perception changes everything. Ancient wisdom always spoke about the eyes of the soul, the lens through which we interpret the world. Modern neuroscience and quantum theory now give language to that truth. The mind doesn't just record reality, it creates it. The observer effect in quantum physics tells us that the act of observing changes the outcome of what is observed. If your perception can shift particles, imagine the power it holds in shaping the events of your life. When you see yourself as limited, when you hold tightly to fear, when you assume the worst, you are tuning your energy into a frequency of lack. You'll find yourself surrounded by circumstances that confirm your belief. But when you choose to see possibility, when you hold gratitude, when you imagine what could be instead of what has been, you are tuning into a frequency of expansion. And life will mirror that back to you. Think of it this way. Perception is like a filter on a camera lens. If you place a dark filter, the world looks gloomy. If you place a warm filter, the world glows with light. The scene itself hasn't changed, but your experience of it has. The filter you choose is your perception. And here's the empowering truth. You can change the filter. Science tells us that the brain has something called neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire itself based on repeated thoughts, emotions, and actions. This means that even if you've been conditioned to see the world through a lens of fear or failure, you're not stuck with it. Every time you consciously shift your focus, choosing gratitude, choosing hope, choosing courage, you are carving a new pathway in your brain. Over time, that pathway becomes the road your thoughts naturally take. This is why ancient wisdom taught practices like meditation, prayer, gratitude, rituals, and affirmations. They were not empty traditions, they were training the mind to choose a higher lens. Today, science confirms what they always knew. Your perception creates your reality. So I ask you, what lens are you looking through right now? Are you seeing limitation or are you seeing potential? Because the lens you choose will not only shape your experience of the world, it will shape the world that unfolds before you. And so, when we look at this alignment between ancient truth and modern science, we begin to see that the message has always been the same. What you hold within, you project outward. The difference is only in language. One side uses sacred words, like faith or spirit, while the other uses measurable terms like frequency or quantum state. But they both point to the same reality, that your inner world is the blueprint for your outer experience. This realization should not stay as an intellectual idea. It is a call to action. It means every thought you choose to dwell on, every emotion you nurture, and every belief you cling to has real consequences. It means you are no longer a passive participant in life, but an active creator. It means when you shift your focus, your energy shifts. And when your energy shifts, the world must respond. The most empowering part is this: you don't need to wait for science to validate your belief, and you don't need to wait for external signs before you begin. Both the ancients and the scientists tell us the same thing: start within. That is where the real transformation happens. The life you're seeking does not begin in the material world. It begins in the unseen, in the thought, in the conviction, in the quiet but powerful decision to align with what you truly desire. So, the next time you catch yourself doubting, the next time you feel like life is outside your control, remind yourself of this truth: for thousands of years, humanity has carried the same message forward, that we are more powerful than we realize, and that our inner alignment is the key to our outer reality. If you embrace that, if you truly live by it, then your dream life stops being a distant wish and starts becoming an unfolding reality.